Hey there, and welcome to the Living in Arkansas channel. And we're going to talk about today some concerns that some people have. Some people consider pluses and minuses, but we're going to talk about some things you absolutely need to know if you're considering moving to Northwest Arkansas.
10 things you have to know before you move here.
Hey there, so when you're considering coming to Northwest Arkansas, these are the things we're talking about. These are the things you need to know, and we're here to serve you. If you've got a real estate need, we definitely want to link up with you and get you where you need to be and find you the right home at the right price, and we're here to serve.
It's all about finding your family, the lifestyle that you want here in Northwest Arkansas. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, the notification, all the comment, like, whatever. Do the YouTube buttons. You know how to do it. And reach out to us when you need to. And we'd love to connect with you and serve. So the first thing we got to tell you about is allergies. There is so much pollen here right now. It's springtime. I haven't been sleeping well, and man, does it really attack certain people. And as you can see, dandelions are going out crazy. There'll be certain roads where you'll just see an orange mist go across the road because the trees
orange and yellow pollen mist, like powders everywhere.
Yeah, I keep my car in the garage, and there's still a layer of pollen on my car, and it really tears me up. My wife, not so much.
It gets me a little bit, but I never had allergies before I moved to Northwest Arkansas, but I've sure got them now. And it depends on what season it is and what's growing. But we just came from a listing appointment where they had solar panels on the roof, and we noticed that sheen of yellow dust on the solar panels. So if allergies are a concern for you, they definitely are worth considering, when moving here. Some people aren't bothered by it. Hey, if you've got the allergies, it's a concern maybe, but here's the deal. It's beautiful out here. All the deciduous trees are constantly in bloom every year, so you get all the leaf changes and color changes. So there's the positive spin on that same thing.
So traveling in and out of Northwest Arkansas can be a breeze, but there's a little bit of a complication to it, and that's our airport size. Granted, it's small, so I can drop Alan off at the front door. I can be out of the airport in under 5 minutes. I'm back on the highway, boom, I'm gone. And he can be through the security checkpoint in under 20 minutes if he has a pre-boarding and everything. So it's a really small airport. It doesn't go very many places.
So that's really the trade-off is that the blessing of it, or the benefit, is that it's a small airport so you can get through it quickly. But the downside is that there's a limited number of regional airlines that come in, and the ability to get somewhere within the immediate flying pattern, say other large cities, it might be less frequent that you can get there. There's not a daily flight necessarily to whatever city you want to go to. You might have to go through and make some extra stops as you travel to be able to hit the spots you want to hit to and get to. But, some would say, hey, positive that it's, a small airport, easy to get in and out of. Maybe a negative is that it doesn't necessarily service all the areas you might want. So if that's a concern for you and you travel a lot, then you should definitely check that out before coming here.
A nice plus is the one-way destinations that are really inexpensive, like Denver. You can get there for under $100. Tampa, Orlando, I think Atlanta as well. There's a few other locations, and there's daily flights going to Dallas and Houston and Chicago. So there's some really good options that are really, really cheap.
And just this morning, I was actually looking online this morning, and there were flights from XNA, Northwest Arkansas, to Daytona Beach, and they were $80 round trip. And they're 3 weeks from now. I just decided to check and see what was available to go to Florida, and boom, that was available. Destin was $92. So a lot of affordability to go to some places through some of these regional carriers as well.
In the next 25 years, they have plans of putting in another runway, but it's going to take a while. There's a lot of planning to do with that. But that leads us to our third point, that's infrastructure.
Yeah.
Our airport's small, and our infrastructure is still growing. I don't think they anticipated Northwest Arkansas to boom and grow as quickly as it has. And so it is cranking along, and the infrastructure is struggling to keep up. We've got tight roads, we've got we've got a really good highway system. They just finished a 3-lane all the way from South Fayetteville to North Bentonville, and a brand new highway going around Bella Vista that makes going to Joplin or Kansas City super easy. And highway access out to there to almost grab it that is really, really highly accessible now. It's really putting it on the map.
You bet. Well, one of the other things with that, with these small roads, once you leave the main corridor, the main north-south corridor of I-49, you can't get, 5 minutes from the freeway, maybe 10 minutes from the freeway in some places, and you're in a rural area. It is still farmland, it is still chicken houses, and there's a lot of agriculture in the area. So one of those things is that those roads are smaller. It's not unheard of to get on a smaller road out away from town and get caught behind a tractor. So if those kinds of things are a concern for you, and as far as traffic goes, it's kind of glitchy. It has some traffic buildups, not so much on the I-49 because they've done a lot to improve that. But some of those feeder roads that feed into I-49, as you get closer to the freeway, can have some traffic buildup sometime. But we're not talking traffic like a
LA
Houston
traffic.
or an LA or
You're not
Atlanta
sitting there for
or
hours.
No, there's none of that. None of
You're
that.
not sitting there for hours. You're sitting there for maybe 1 or 2 lights, maybe 3 or 4 lights.
Yeah,
And if there's a wreck, that's to be expected to be a little bit longer.
sure.
But you're moving pretty good, and you're going to get there eventually in that same hour, but you're not going to be sitting there for a long, long time.
So if traffic's a major concern for you, you might want to check that out before moving to Northwest Arkansas.
So historically, Arkansas is a red state, and Northwest Arkansas is very red. It's very rural.
Very conservative.
Very conservative. They have a very family-oriented, Bible Belt, Southern-style hospitality aspect to living here. As long as you're not coming in trying to change their mind or shove anything down their throat, they're going to be happy, friendly, awesome people that would love to sit down and tell you their stories.
They're very receptive, very open, very humble people in Northwest Arkansas, and all the people that I've met that have lived here their entire lives are just wonderful, wonderful people, and great, very hospitable in nature. So we really have enjoyed living here. If exposure to conservative values are of a concern to you, then you might want to consider moving somewhere else because they're not shoving it down your throat, but they're very opinionated here, and they're not here to listen to any guff from anybody else either. So,
yeah.
Another thing about Northwest Arkansas that kind of ties into that too, it's very individualistic. So a lot of people, like we said previously in one of the points, that when you get away from the main road and the highways and stuff, you're in the country. So very much freedom loving and gun toting and hunting and fishing and all the stuff that I love. And, so as far as those values go here, it's very individualistic.
You mentioned gun rights, and everybody loves to hunt and fish around here.
Yeah.
There's actually on the other side of the lake, Beaver Lake, in Rogers, there's a free shooting range. Just mind your manners out there. Be courteous to everybody else, but there's a bullet catcher. You can go tune in your scope or whatever you want to do. Just plink around, and there's people love just living off the land and being out in their own space.
I mean, it's called the natural state for a reason. There's lots of great natural stuff to do.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you want to live by a creek, do a little fishing, have some natural water, feeding your garden, whatever it is, people want to have their individual space, and that's what Northwest Arkansas is all about.
Yes. Okay, something worth talking about. If you've got the kiddos, something worth hearing is that as a whole, Northwest Arkansas doesn't have a great school system. No, I say as a whole state. So there are some places in Northwest Arkansas that the schools aren't great. As far as scores go, the scores aren't that high. That said, in Northwest Arkansas specifically, there are some of the best schools in the nation. There's several schools in this area that are in the top, in the top 10, 20 schools in the country for ranking and how they perform. And there's just produced fantastically academically. So there is a lot of great education opportunity here. Just be attentive to that. If you've got the kiddos and the school that they go to is really important to you, then that would be something you definitely want to check out. Check out the scores of the schools.
Yeah, we'll be doing a video on other top schools, listing them, so you can help be a good resource for you guys, connecting with what school district you want to be plugging your kiddos into. Also, with that there's a boatload of after-school activities. If you want ninja gyms, we got those. If you want go-karting, we have that. If you want horseback riding, if you want sports, there's a plethora of all different kinds of sports, even hockey. We have hockey here. But
and don't forget about disc golf.
Yeah, disc golf,
frisbee,
ultimate frisbee,
ultimate frisbee guy. He's an ultimate frisbee guy.
Supposed to be playing tonight. So it's been raining out, and so it's been spring, and so it's been raining out the past 3 games. But it's as you can see, it's beautiful, and we're finally going to be able to play.
It's going to happen. I can see him making the big score, or whatever you call it.
ESPN quality. So,
or do you spike the frisbee? I don't know.
Yeah, you swat it out of the air.
Okay.
But anyway, so if after school programs, we got you covered in Northwest Arkansas, and there's plenty to do, keeping everybody active. Northwest Arkansas is #1 for mountain biking, and that is awesome for us because it's a natural state. We have miles and miles, over 300 miles worth of trail. There's a 50-mile trail that's north to south, Bella Vista to Fayetteville. If you want to just ride and hit pubs all along the way, you can do that. If you want to spin off and hit some dirt, there's plenty of opportunity to do that. In Bella Vista is just one giant maze of mountain bike trails, and all around Northwest Arkansas is an opportunity to hit a trail, and that is awesome for us. But it brings a lot of people in, and it attracts people to this area. So there's going to be a lot of tourists in that fashion.
There's times that there's so many bikes out, like there'll be some kind of mountain bike competition or a bike race, like a street race or stuff like that. And then not to forget the Hog-Eye Marathon that runs through the streets for 26 miles. So there's these events that can block up traffic, bicycling being one of them. But because we're so avid, from an outdoor standpoint, it puts a lot of people and a lot of groups out on the roads at given times. And just know that that's something that you may have to deal with. There may be days where you're stuck behind a running group or a riding group or somebody that's just out there doing their thing. And just know that here the pace is probably a little slower than if you're coming from a big city. Yeah. So you'll need to slow it down a hair and just kind of let it happen. Give everybody a little space, let freedom ring, man.
Yeah. Which leads us right into our next point, and that is tourist sporting events. Last week we just had Garth Brooks here. There was 80,000 people in the Razorback Stadium.
Woohoo!
There's not even 80,000 people that live in Fayetteville.
That's true.
And so we had a massive amount of people that were driving in, and I didn't even remember it. And I was like, man, why is there so much traffic in Fayetteville? But that's the kind of events that are happening here. We have a Razorback game. There will be 50 to 70,000 people at a Razorback football game. We have a really big baseball and basketball stadium as well, for hockey as well. And so there's lots of sporting events that draw everybody here. I mean, just to name a few, we've got the Crystal Bridges in Bentonville. We've got the Momentary for all the art lovers. We have the Walton Arts Center for Broadway shows.
So we're going to talk to you about the negatives of all that. So it brings a lot of people in. So that, we kind of talked about traffic before, but the reality is when you've got all these tourists coming in, you're going to have a lot of people that don't know where they're going when they're driving, and that's okay. So just like I mentioned with the bicyclist, you just got to have kind of slow down and have that slow down mentality. And then on top of that, with all the sporting events, while we've got a ton of, let's say, semi-professional or college level engagements as far as sports go, we don't have any professional teams. So if there's a negative about that, about the local area as far as sports teams go, we really don't have any professional teams. The extent of our semi-pro is the Naturals. They are actually the feeder team or the farm team for the Kansas City Royals. And so we've got that. But people around here love their sports. Most of it is geared around Razorback football or Razorback baseball or softball, Razorback basketball. Since we don't have the professional level stuff, if like going to a bunch of professional sports games and events is your thing, we don't really have that here. So by all means, if that's a concern of yours, then you might want to take that in consideration when talking about moving to Northwest Arkansas.
So this is the most important one. And this is why you got to reach out to us and get connected. give us a phone call, text, email, whatever you got. We love connecting with people so we can point them to the right direction. And we've had a few people come and they didn't connect with us, and they ended up landing in a neighborhood, and I later afterwards hear that they didn't like that neighborhood or that area because they didn't do the research, and we weren't able to serve them.
Mm-hmm.
And so we really want to get to know you and your family and your lifestyle, emphasis on the lifestyle that you guys live, and connect you with the proper neighborhood and the school district and the activities that Northwest Arkansas has to offer for you.
Well, so one of the things that makes Northwest Arkansas kind of different than, like, say, a larger scale city is that we are sparsely populated in some areas. So I'll say pocket neighborhoods. So there's neighborhoods that you'll drive out through, a farm fields for, 10, 15 minutes, and then boom, there's a big development of a couple hundred homes. So we know where those are. Our job is to get you connected with those neighborhoods that might fit your needs and fit your lifestyle. So very important that you reach out to us before you come. One of the things we like to do is grab coffee with you when you get here, get to know you a little bit, talk with you about what areas you might like or not like, depending on what you're looking for, and get you pointed in the right direction. And if you want to see some houses while you're here, then we can definitely set that up. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure you're well served, and that means getting to know you so that we can serve you best. So thanks for stopping by and visiting with us and watching our video through. And remember to hit that subscribe button, that like button, all those YouTube buttons. You know what to do. But remember, we're here to serve, and if you're coming to Northwest Arkansas, we want to make sure you get taken care of.
That's all, folks.